Howdy, all of you delicious people. I'm here today to review Attack the Block. So, when I go on into this movie, I would have to say that this movie is a okay piece. Like, I like that this movie is, of course, an alien invasion that is to be taking place within one apartment complex, because there's a whole reason supposedly behind that. I think there is some times where I start to see that there is some meaningless dialogue or there is some just dead time in this film where I'm like, come on already! I want to see another alien. I want to see like somebody getting attacked. Like the way that they just go about this film is just kind of weird. How like they are to choose this like exciting moment, but then all of a sudden, like, hey, let's slow it down. An exciting moment, but hey, let's slow it down. Exciting moment, then hey. Like, it's kind of has this weird back and forth thing about it. And I'm just like, man, for an action movie, like, there should not be this kind of weird wave of a film. Because really, we should have it to where there should be this build to this kind of sci fi action film, not this kind of weird wave going on in here. But there are also some points where I go through this movie and I'm like, okay, this doesn't make sense. Okay, that does make sense towards the end there. With the thing with Sam, like the girl, how that thing, I'm scratching my head going like, how is it that like Sam is to like dodge a bullet towards the end of this film, so to speak? It doesn't quite make sense to me. But it is what it is with this film. So for this film, like this movie does, of course, easily remind me of like monster movies, like Critters, and like it is really fun. I do like it. It's just there's some stuff about it where if I were to probably go through this movie, I would like again or over or more, then I probably would eventually just like it less. For some reason, I would just be like, okay, here's the other dead scene where like, but it's a really good one-off film. Like it's a movie where you have a lot of characters that have fun here. It's easily to understand that John Boyega, like even from off of this film, was to go on and just quickly become like a lead character that he is to always be on any number of these shows. And it's easy to see that some people within this movie went off and did great things. Like we of course have like the character that plays Dennis in here, who goes on and is Firestorm for the Legends of Tomorrow. And because I was thinking like, why does this guy look so familiar? And like Sam goes off and becomes Doctor Who at some point. Jodie Whittaker and Franz Drama, who of course is to be the guy who plays Firestorm in Legends of Tomorrow. But anyways, so yeah, so like off of like probably this movie, like somebody had to have gone on and seen this at some point, like yeah, like I saw that movie, or probably not. Anyways, so with that said, where could you go out of your way to watch Attack the Block? Well, currently, right now, the second is recording, this movie is to be conveniently on Stars. I know a lot of times it seems that Stars shows and movies are really popular, so that was convenient for me because it's like, hey, I wanted to watch this movie regardless. And so if you don't have Stars, if you can't afford Stars, and you can go out of your way to Google search a couple apps. You can go on and Google search an app called Letter C Movies, and so that's a letter and then that's a word. So go ahead and download that app and dare in fact be able to watch anything basically, new releases, TV shows, stuff, a lot of stuff. You can also go on and go to an app called Fox HD Movies. you can go onto that app and have a logo that'll say Fox HD Movies, but a title that says different. It'll say like Play 1080p HD Movies, and you'll go on, you'll be able to download that app also, and you'll be able to watch anything that you want. Brand new releases, stuff that's early access or premium access or super quadrilicious access, whatever any of that new movie stuff is. You can watch all that stuff absolutely free. All you need to see is just ads in between parts of the film. You can go onto a Google Play Store and also download TV Crush, and maybe you'll be able to find any number of things. Maybe on top of that, you might be able to find this movie. Don't quite know. Didn't exactly go through, but there's sometimes where TV Crush can conveniently have a bunch of stuff. So, with that said, let's go into that double five time territory. An okay movie, but I'm not like saying like, oh, don't watch this film. Oh, like, really, people will probably have problems with this film, like I probably came to, but I overall enjoyed it. It was overall a good, possibly one-off experience where I may never watch this movie again or get a chance to. So it was worth that one-off kind of watching ability. So with that said, let's get into spoiler time. Spoiler time. It's about that time to get into spoil this movie. So we go on, and weirdly, I guess that this is to, like, I wanted to say immediately that this movie takes place like right around the 4th of July because they're going on and popping fireworks. But then when immediately I'm going on and saying that, this movie is taking place in Britain because they obviously say that, or the UK. And so I'm like, oh, okay, so like it's not 4th of July, but I'm sure for Britain they are to celebrate their Independence Day, I'm assuming, or maybe they have a different time of which that they are just popping off fireworks. I don't know. But hey, deeply respect British or UK people. No hate, please. I'm just saying, like, I don't know what they're celebrating, but they're celebrating. They're popping off fireworks. And it seems that everybody just has a load of them. Good God, in this movie. There's so many fireworks that just get used in this film. And I'm like, man, like, did this film, like, start a fire accidentally at some point? Like, I would assume that probably would have happened. Because they have so many fireworks in this film. They use so many fireworks in this film. So we go on and we have it where fireworks are coming off, and so everybody's to naturally assume that anything that's falling from the sky is just another firework. So we go on, we have Moses and his group of gang of guys. I don't want to call them thugs or something like that, because it doesn't say thug number 2, 3, and 4. So they all have names. So we have this group of guys who all goes on and is to try and steal from a nurse that is making her way home at night. And so this nurse is going and calling somebody to all of a sudden get mugged. And we, of course, have these guys that are trying to threaten her, trying to steal her wallet. And, of course, they get this wallet. And we go on, and once these guys are to steal this girl's wallet, and a shortly brief time later, they go on and they're checking this girl's wallet and like, man, she's poor. She's a nurse, but she's poor. So all of a sudden we have in this story here where all of a sudden a comet is to fall upon the sky and crash into this car. They go on and they think that it's some firework of sorts, and we really don't understand how these aliens are to become a thing in this movie, because they just go on and they crash land, and then just one of them appears out of nowhere. Like, there isn't a real understanding. And so I went through some Google search and found out that I guess like the aliens are coming from these comets that are landing on the ground, and then they end up getting hatched, and then they're going off and trying to, of course, take down whoever is to really just be there conveniently. So all of a sudden, this monster is appear from out of this car, scratching Moses upon the face. Moses, who of course is John Boyega here, and so we have forcibly where Moses is having to fight off this entity, and it eventually gets scared off and is to run off to this one little like shack, something like that. I don't know. So we go on and we have Moses who has a scar upon his face, and they're like, "Oh my God, you got a battle wound from fighting that thing." So these guys go on and do like the most brilliant thing that they can possibly think of, and they're like, "Hey man, like we want to go after this thing. We want to go to round 2." And so I'm like, God, these guys are just. These guys don't have really substantial weaponry, and they're going after this thing and trying to hunt it down. And I'm just like, man, I'm just waiting for this to be like Godzilla all over again, where you have this big, massive monster that's like, and this isn't that big of a monster. I'm just saying, like, I'm comparing. Like this monster is about a normal size of a human. So they call it like a bear creature or something like that, or they don't have the actual. There isn't an actual name for this thing. So like at first somebody calls it a dog. It's like that's not a dog. Like that looks like, does that look like a dog to you? Does a monstrous being look like a dog to you? So we go on and we have them chase this thing down, and we go on and have them like drop these fireworks in front of the thing so that way they can see it. And then Moses comes in and starts slaying this thing and starts killing it. And so after they go on and kill it, they just drag this alien to, of course, this guy's place, who of course is to be called Ron. And Ron is actually played by Nick Frost. If you guys have seen Shaun of the Dead, because the same people that did Shaun of the Dead kind of technically did this film. So, like, I bet they're just going to easily like, "Hey, Nick, are you busy? Like, you want to do this movie? Heck yeah." Like, he has a very small role in it, which is kind of sad, but, like, when really looking at it, like, there's just a group of kids, and where is Ron going to fit in there, sadly? So, but we go on and we have Ron, who is, of course, to be this guy who is, of course, selling weed. And we have, of course, Moses, who's bringing in this alien. And Ron is looking at this thing up and down. It's just like, yeah, it looks like you guys just discovered a new animal of sorts. I don't know, like, I don't know, I've never seen anything like this. And so they're going on and wanting to make sure this thing is secure, and that there's a certain place where this won't get taken or stolen or whatever, because they have something that no one else has. And they're thinking about, like, ka-ching, ka-ching, like, we're gonna probably make a ton of money off of this thing. And I'm like, how? I don't know how, but sure. So here's the one thing that they mistakenly didn't do here. One, the very first monster thing is to not look similar to the other monsters, but then they have to go on later on in the film and help us understand that, because I guess this alien is to be the one female where all the other aliens are to be male. But here is my thing about that. Why didn't this female alien do this thing called hatch eggs? Or hatch, like, monstrous creatures then? Shouldn't this thing have landed technically pregnant and could deliver a bunch of beings and whatever? and that could justify how all of a sudden there are so many aliens now. But like I'll give them leeway because supposedly they justify it in the story that, and later on, way too late in the story, but they go on and they justify that all these other aliens are males, and supposedly all these other males, I guess, are chasing after this one female alien, and I guess they're going to procreate so they can go on and make other baby aliens to take out this world. I don't know that it's just kind of weird that they only have one female. It is what it is. It is what it is with the story. It's like critters. There's very few female critters, so again, we have to have a vicious amount of leeway with this movie. So, so we go on, and so we have Moses who delivers this alien for this one guy who's to be, I'm assuming, a drug dealer who goes by the name High Hats. And so High Hats is to go on, and because Moses is to let this alien sit within this weed room, we go on and we have High Hats who's going to Moses and like, hey, like you should go on and you should deal some drugs. Here you go. You better get $300 out of this, dude. You're never gonna see them drugs. You're never gonna see that $300. People are gonna be dead by the end of this film, and it'll even probably be everybody who is to be the stupid people that are getting so high, or just people that just are to be just so heavily into one song so much that it just becomes their weird theme song, that every time you end up seeing High Hats, he's singing this one song over and over and talking about blah blah blah. And we go on and we have like Ron, who I guess is really also into that song as well, which I thought it was cool. I liked the music in this movie, but it was just like one guy just having a theme song in this movie, and I just thought that I was like, okay, this is just like we got it the first time, but now they have to like re-deliver it to us. Like, you know what? You know what they should have just done? They should have just like if they're gonna do that, have it be every single time you see this guy, the music is playing in the background. The like really go through it to where like they continue to do it, to where it just no longer makes sense anymore. It's a comedic thing. That would have been funny to just keep going on and on and on about that one song being used for this character, even if it makes no sense for him to have music somewhere. Just continue to do it regardless. I thought that would have been a lot more funny. Some people would have probably found that annoying after a while, but like, hey, freaking, like, the guy, if it seems like he has a theme song anyways, you might as well use the out of it. So, we go on and we have, of course, these guys turning around, and we have Sam who goes on and is to try and report this mugging. And so Sam's to go off to this one lady's house, and so Sam is saying that I guess the police are way too busy tonight, that they may not be able to get to her call. I'm like, well, that's gonna tell you that they're already far too busy as it is, that like these aliens took the perfect day to just land upon this block, because man, like they just chose like the busiest time of the year for the police department. Isn't that convenient? So I'm being honest. So like as if these guys picked the like they picked the day where fireworks were happening. They picked where like the police were like super busy. And like, how many other things could they kind of conveniently come up with for this story, for just have a ton of convenience for this film? But anyways, we have at one point Sam and uh, is to go on and get a police car to come to her place and kind of drive her away in this vehicle, as we have these police officers going and searching around for these men. So, like, it doesn't seem all too flimsy, but still. So, so Moses is starting to look through a window and starting to realize that it seems that there is a lot more aliens that are going to land soon. And because every single, like, kind of like flare of these comments are all just coming down, and they're realizing like, hey guys, like, we're gonna have to go and defend the city, like Moses and all of his group here. Which is kind of funny that we have like the leader being Moses of all people, but like, I guess we have to have like a lot of convenience here. It's perfect. Like at least his name isn't like Phil or something, where it like, like Phil, really? So we go on further into this story, and so the guys decide that they're going to go and try to figure out where more aliens are. And so everybody is starting to strap up, so supposedly. As we go on, and we have a lot of guys saying a certain number of lingo, and like we have them going on and saying like trust, or we have them uh, going on and say believe, or like I don't know what kind of thing that they're taking this from. Um, but man, like, it seems like we're kind of throwing those words around quite often. Uh, I don't know. So we go further into this film, and the guys are going on and getting all these weapons. Like, we have one guy with a machete, weirdly. We have, of course, Dennis, who gets this samurai sword, it looks like, and all of a sudden he has to go and take his dog out. Where unfortunately we have Dennis, who's taking this dog into this like kind of pizza delivery motorcycle, where all of a sudden this dog is eventually going to sadly end up being killed because of some alien. So R.I.P. dog, R.I.P. So we go on and have all these characters who are to basically have like these bats and these swords and these knives and whatever, and this still isn't like the brim of weaponry. But we go on and we have them eventually having some fireworks, so I guess that technically evens the odds. Technically. So we go on and have one of these characters all go and try to find one of these aliens. And so the dog ends up go after one of these aliens, and the alien kills the dog. And then so we go on and we have these characters go on and try to take this alien down, to realize that they're starting to get outnumbered. And so they go on and they are all bolting off to all like race home with these aliens chasing after them. So we go on, we have one character here who, of course, is, I think, to be. I'm assuming it's probably going to have to be Biggs here, because he's the only picture of which that I don't really see for these guys. So that's what I'd have to naturally assume. So we go on and we have one of the guys who I believe is Biggs, who is to find himself in some paper garbage container. He's stuck in there because one of the aliens is trying to continue to bash this paper garbage thing to try and get this guy out of here so he can kill him. And so we go on and we have him trying to call people, and like he's calling them numerous times, like I guess his minutes are running out on his phone, yada yada yada. So we have these two kids who are of course to be called Probs and Mayhem, and they're going on and they think that they want to also be a part of this to try and take down some aliens, going having some like some toy weapons that aren't really going to do them any good, but it seems like these technically toys are a little bit smarter than we technically think at some points. Let's just leave it at that. So we go on here and we have these guys who are all making it to uh, this one apartment, uh, because we go on here and we have it where Moses is to find this police car, and it's the same car that Sam is in, and Sam is going and trying to get in this one cage part of this police car so these aliens won't come in there. And so we have these guys just crazily driving off in this police car, heading into this underground car garage, and so all of a sudden these guys ram through this spot, like just destroying these lights. And so all of a sudden they meet up again with High Hats. And so High Hats is thinking that Moses has something to do with the police. And so all of a sudden High Hats is to whip out this gun, thinking that I guess Moses is to be his villain now for some odd reason. So we go on and we have High Hats, of course, with his sidekick, who of course is to be Tonks. What a name. So at least it seems that most of these are to be easily pronounceable for the most point. I don't know how many times I would go through a movie and a name will be Kiddispuslarkin Gargler, and I'm like, huh? Like, can't you just have one, like a couple of characters that are just have a name like Phil or Bruce or Billy Jane? Like, can't we just have like one simple name from out of all this? So we go on and we have Tonks, who is to see that there is a alien presence within this thing, and he of course ends up getting attacked and killed by this thing. And we really have it to our High Hats is thinking that these guys that of course were in this this police car are in cahoots weirdly with this alien monster thing. And so we go on and we have High Hats that's just kind of running off to now go on and get some other guys of his to now go after really just Moses and his group at this point, because this guy does not give about an alien invasion. Like, we just have this guy is like, no, like Moses just sick this like monster dog whatever thing on my friend, and so now we're gonna have to go and get this guy. So I'm like, okay, sure. So we go on and we have our characters that are now running to go on to try and get to Sam's apartment. And we, of course, have them using all kinds of things to their benefit to try to, hold off this monster or whatever. And one of the guys named Pest is to get bitten in the leg. And so now, like, this guy isn't getting carried to this place. Like, he's just going up these flight of stairs with, I guess, just a bitten leg, which kind of doesn't make any sense to me, but it's whatever at this point. So we go on to Sam's apartment, and we would naturally assume, like, oh, okay, like, we're so going to be safe until we come up with some kind of master plan. So we have Sam, who's to be a nurse, and she's going to have to supposedly take care of Pest's leg injury. And Sam is going on, it's like, well, I'm sorry, but I've never seen an alien infection before. So, like, I don't even know what to do here. Like, we should just take him to the hospital because, it's really unsure, like, what this thing will do to, what will a bite do to this character? Will it turn him into one of these? Wouldn't that have been really interesting for that to just develop in this movie? So we go on, and so there's this back and forth about Sam and Moses, and how, like, Sam was of course being mugged by these guys, and, like, she can't even trust, or she doesn't even want to help these people because of what they had done to her. And so Moses and his group are technically justifying it, that they saved this woman's life. And it's like, oh yeah, after you mugged me. So we go on, and we have Sam, who's asking for her ring back, and so they end up giving it to her. And so the longer and longer we wait through this, and, like, we're having Pest, uh, who gets his leg kind of having a pillow on it, and pretty well taped up and whatever. We all of a sudden have an alien that is bashing through this door and is trying to go specifically after these guys. And it's like, okay, why is this happening? So this alien goes and bashes through to get through this place. And so now we go on, and we have, of course, Moses, who whips out this samurai sword and is to take this thing down. And so now we have it to where, when, like, they're realizing that it seems like these things keep coming, and so now they have to kind of put up some kind of defense, or they have to, like, it's either us or them kind of thing. So we have Sam leave with this, like, kitchen knife, and so they're realizing here that possibly a very much more safe place could probably be these one other girl's apartment building, or apartment room, uh, because more than likely, like, their door is much more durable. Plus, also, it's just the convenience of having these girls uh, that live in the same apartment complex. We conveniently have Moses and the group, before everything is to pop off, so to speak, go and meet with these girls, and to kind of showcase that these characters are going to be used somewhere down the road. So we go on, we have Moses and this group making it to this apartment, and so we go on, and we have this group that again is thinking that they're all safe. We have the guys trying to explain to the girls what's all happening. Of course, they don't believe them. Like, anybody probably wouldn't believe them at this point. So we go on, and we have it to where at some point when these guys are talking, we have all of a sudden these girls are bringing up this one, God, what is it? The Fugees? The ready or not, here I come, you can't hide, gonna find you, ready or not. Yeah. Like, they bring up the Fugees. And I was like, oh man, like, that's kind of cool. But, like, they should have had the actual song in the background somewhere, but it probably would have costed too much money, right? So maybe they just had to reference it. So, anyways, like, this is another just dead time where I'm just like, why are we here? Like, why does this exist? We also go on and have another character here who is to be called Brewis. Bruce is to go on, and the very first alien that we see uh, crash through this one car. Bruce was to actually have that car, and so Bruce goes on because I guess he has no car. He just goes on and is to make it back to Ron's place and is to just go on and just smoke weed because I guess he has nowhere to go. So we go on here, and now we have the aliens again making their way to the guys and girls apartment building. And so this time around, we have it to where it seems that people are to like things are starting to really like be more diverse. Besides Moses just killing every single one of these things, so we sadly enough have it to where Dennis is going to die here. Uh, because of course we have one of the aliens that crashes through one of these windows and goes on and is to kill Dennis here with his motorcycle helmet on. And we end up seeing his either motorcycle helmet with his head in it or not in it, not quite sure, just flying off. So of course, now that Dennis is dead, they're going to try to seek vengeance and want to go on and try to kill these aliens. We go on and have it at some point where Sam is going to stab one of these aliens right under the neck here, like I would show here, right under the mouth, and kill one of them. And so we go on, we start to see some characters going on, and we even have the girls who have one of the aliens go into one of their rooms. We have one girl who breaks off this lamp and is just electrocuting this alien with this lamp. And I'm not quite sure that's how electricity works, but it's a fun thing nonetheless. So we go on and have these girls go on into this room, and we're chucking these bed sheets over the alien, and I'm like, this thing can't see anyways. What difference does this make? But I guess like maybe tripping the alien, I don't know, it's weird. So we go on, we have these girls that are trying to take down this alien, and of course they do. And everybody is to go on, and like it seems more and more that these aliens are coming more frequently. So they decide that they need to go on, and because it seems they need to go and find like the most safest place for them to be. And so they decide to go on, and everybody's like, hey, let's all go to Ron's place because uh like Ron's weed room is sealed like Fort Knox. So yeah, we should go on and definitely go into that guy's place. So they go into this weed room after they go on and tell Ron like, "Hey, buddy, like, let's come all in here." And so by the time Moses and the rest of this group go on and try to get to Ron's room, High Hats is talking to Ron and saying like, "Hey, like when they come up here, like we're gonna go and we're gonna get them." So all of a sudden, so these guys are to go into Ron's place to realize that High Hats is there. And so High Hats is going on and having this speech, this monologue, this whatever, with these two other guys. And all of a sudden, we have a number of all these aliens that are breaking through this window, trying to get at all these guys. So we go on and we have High Hats with two other men running to this one elevator, and there is an alien that goes and runs inside of that elevator conveniently also, to where we go on and we have the two other guys that were with High Hats are dead, and we're supposed to see some kind of alien in this elevator, but we don't. So all of a sudden, like Bruce is to go on and be like trying to use this elevator to scramble out of this place, and the one elevator that he picks is the one that has High Hats in it, and so he's like, "Hey man, pick another elevator." So Bruce goes and picks this other elevator. Is like, "Yeah, I'm gonna get the out of here." So we then go on and have these guys like the Moses and his group just using these fireworks and are like desperately trying to come up with some kind of way to take all these aliens down because there's so many of them now. So we have them kind of going back and forth through this place, going and having to uh, kill an alien or two. And like I want to say, or I have this feeling that Germ- uh, Germone, the guy with the machete, I think he dies like right around this part of the film. So, but I could be wrong. So we also have both the two kids that are wanting to try and take one of these aliens down. And so we have Mayhem and we have Probs who goes out there to seek out this one alien. And we have Mayhem that's kind of back and forthing about whether or not that they should do this because maybe the alien will come after them or try to kill them. And Probs is just like, you know what, like if you're gonna go on and like be a wussy, and so we go on and we have Probs who is spraying, I guess, what is to be gasoline upon this monster. And then they go and chuck this lighter at this monster. And where they are at is actually the exact same spot where the one other kid was to be waiting for someone to desperately save them or save him. And like this guy is waiting a very long time to like have somebody come for him. So, and it's kind of sad that kids have to go on and save this guy. So, we now have it to where this alien is on fire, and so this alien is burning up and it's getting killed. So all of a sudden, Mayhem and Probs are all of a sudden like going on and scrambling after this alien is to be killed off, to all of a sudden be in the clutches of all of these police officers, all this SWAT team, and all this whatever. And so both Probs and Mayhem are like, hey, let's scramble, let's freaking get out of here. For them to just go into the same exact garbage as the one kid that's kind of waiting things out. So the kid is going on and telling the kids, like, hey, like, you guys, like, took care of that one monster? And they're like, yeah, like, we had a lighter and we just took care of him. So we go on and eventually we concoct when Moses and the rest of the group are to make it to finally the weed room, and they're holding things out. They go on and they finally, once they re see the creature again, and they're under these UV lights or whatever, they go on and they realize something here. They realize that it seems that there is to be some kind of alien juice that is, of course, on really just one character here who is Moses. Everybody else is fine, but Moses, alien juice. So we have Brewis, who I guess is the highest, but I guess smartest out of this group, who is, I guess, to realize that because they get really high in this weed room, to our Pest is just like, hey man, like I'm in this weed room and I can't get high. So, and we have like Pest who's consistently hitting on Sam, like saying like, hey, like do you have a boyfriend? Like, hey, like you really hot girl. Yeah. So we go on and we have them figure out that like since these guys have some kind of alien juice on them, that this alien juice must be pheromones. And so I guess anybody who I guess was to be attacked by these aliens had this pheromones on them, and that's why they were getting killed. So I'm like, okay, that I guess if you went on and you went and tried to go after this thing and realize that it's not an alien, then I guess you would figure out that it's like, oh, like, well, I'm just going to kill whatever is in front of me. So, the master plan. We have the idea, and here's where things get a little wonky in the story. So, Sam is to not have one thing of alien pheromones on her bate. So, Sam is to go outside of a room filled with aliens, filled to the brim with the aliens. And Sam is to go through and just walk past every single one of these aliens, make it outside this room, and is to go on and go to Moses's place, put the gas all the way up in this room, and also figure out some way to give Moses some jumping off thing for him to be able to be unscathed from this fire. Which I would immediately just said, like, well, why couldn't they have found a place that had a fire escape? That would have made a whole lot of sense. What, does this building not have a fire escape? What, do they get to the wrong part of the building? I don't know, that's just me. So we go on and we have Sam who's setting all this up. And so Moses is basically taking this alien and like backpacking with this alien to have all these aliens like chase after him, and we conveniently have it to where none of the aliens are, I guess, fast enough for Moses. So we go on and have Moses being chased by these things, and we have Moses going up to, I guess, luckily, conveniently, Moses's like apartment is to be on the top level. So Moses goes on and is to go into this apartment and is to fire off one of these fireworks, like we've kind of seen numerous times throughout this movie here. And once he does that, this apartment is supposed to explode with all the aliens in it. And so Moses goes on and is to grab this thing for him to protect himself, to just be able to hang on while this place is to be blown up and all these aliens are to be killed. So now all of a sudden, after this whole commotion is just now all wrapped up, all of a sudden we have Moses who is to be put in handcuffs, and we have it to where the police are saying that Moses has something to do with all of this, that he's creating all this chaos and so on and so forth. Because I guess if you have you'll never have anybody believe this is an alien invasion. Never believe that story, even though you might have some kind of evidence or photo evidence, or probably some people should have taken numbers of pictures about these aliens, especially when they are to see their cold, dead corpses. Somewhere in this film. So we go on, and these monsters really do have a cool effect. It does really look really cool, especially that whole window scene where you just see a bunch of these like mouths and whatever. Like, we had one of the characters that were going on and saying that, like, oh, is that the monster's eyes? But no, it's actually their teeth, because this monster doesn't actually have eyes. I guess it just goes off of smell? It doesn't really seem like there's even a nose to this monster either, so I don't know how they sense these things. I don't know how they can figure out pheromones in this film, but I guess it is what it is. So we go on and we have it where Moses is getting arrested and everybody's cheering on Moses. Like, yeah, Moses, he saved us. Because no, he did nothing. Because he was the only one that had alien juice on him. He was the only one. And plus, this guy has to keep his attire on throughout this entire movie. Nobody can change their clothes in this film. So everybody else has to just conveniently not have alien juice on them. So that way only Bodega has it. So we go on and we have Moses who's getting arrested and everybody's cheering him on. So we have the one guy, Pest, who's going on and telling Moses, like, hey, you hear that? So we go on and we have Sam who's going and saying that, hey, they protected her from this monster alien invasion thing, and that it seems like the guys aren't going to go and arrest these guys after all, and really we could just go on and just say like, oh yeah, like they did the right thing at the end of all of this. So we also had it to where Moses at some point was telling Sam that if Moses would have known that Sam would have lived in this block, he would not have gone after her. And Sam was just like, so wait a minute. So I had to live completely different to where you were for you to want to be more tempted to just rob me? But yeah, so like I was expecting some kind of like end credit goofy thing or whatever, but there wasn't that. Um, but yeah, so I had fun with this film, but I think it's at the end of the day where I think it's my time to say, like, I'm just going to get out of here. If there's anything that I've probably forgotten about, because there's probably a lot of details that were to be have missed by me, because I didn't thoroughly go into certain scenes, especially when it came down to just these action scenes and action sequences and whichever. Let me know in the comments below how you felt about Attack of the Block if you were to go on and see this thing. Like it's kind of funny how like I think some people are to go on and say that this is a movie that everyone forgot about or it's like a hidden gem or something like that. When like funny thing is like when this movie actually came out, you could not have like not heard about this movie when it came out. Like it was kind of funny when this movie came out because like I was continuing to see this like attack of the block, attack of the block, attack of the block somewhere, and I didn't understand what that meant. Because like I think G4 at the same time like had like Attack of the Show, and I think that's probably the one reason why like this movie might have been forgotten, because at the exact same time there was another thing existing out there called Attack the Show, so probably a lot of people probably got confused around that same time. So with that said, I think I'm just gonna get out of here. Bye, everybody. Bye, everybody.